Yeah, so first blue card we're going to talk about is a mythic rare. It is it is called Cemetery Illuminator. It is one colorless and blue for a creature spirit. It's a 2/3 with flying, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Once each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library if it shares a card type with the card that is exiled with Cemetery Illuminator.
Interesting. Okay, Sphinx of whatever the heck that was, I'll let you look at cards all the time.
Okay, this is just really good, right?
Yeah, it seems very good.
Because it's when it enters the battlefield or attacks, you can change. You can exile something under it.
And then you can always look at your top card to see.
If you could control the board and keep this around like 3 turns or 4 turns, you could basically cast anything off the top of your deck.
You really could, yeah. It's like the opposite of counterbalance. Instead of
a land is the only thing you wouldn't be able to do because it says cast, but
yeah, because you can't cast land. But as long as you don't whiff, you're pretty set. I mean, it's like instead of like counterbalance or something like that, we were trying to counter, everything. This is like you're playing stuff for free, which is pretty cool. Definitely, definitely a good card. Next up we have Consuming Tide. It is 2 blue for a rare sorcery. And it has each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hands. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in her hand than you. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it's like card draw, but also kind of mixed with like Cyclonic Rift, kind of.
Okay, so each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. So everybody has to bounce one thing they control to their hand that's not a land. And then you draw a card for all opponents that have more cards than you. So you realistically want to play this with an empty hand.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have one card and everyone else is going to have 1 or more cards, and hopefully you draw 3 out of it. So at the best, this is a draw 3, bounce 3, and one of your own things.
So not bad. Decent CMC if you're, in that kind of scenario, your typical 4-player pod.
Yeah, and then like a standard format, this is going to be a bounce 2 things, draw 1 at best.
Standard, this doesn't seem as good. This is definitely far better in a more multiplayer format.
But even in Commander, I feel like there's better cards, right? Like for 4 mana, you're drawing 3 cards, bouncing 4 things. Like, couldn't I just play Cyclonic Rift? And then
I'd much rather play Cyclonic Rift.
Or you could play like 2 boomerangs for this. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's cheaper, and if you're really wanting to draw cards, you may as well just play like Mind Spring or something like that.
I mean, I guess it could work if you have like an ETB effect because you get to return one of your things to replay it again.
Yeah, I don't know, but then
and you're still drawing.
I feel like there's better ways to do that too. Like,
yeah,
this seems
it's a mediocre card. I think
it's kind of meh. it's pretty situational.
If someone played it on me, I'd be like, okay, but there's better stuff out there.
Yeah, it's just if the CMC was lower, it would be a little better, I think, but I don't know.
All right, so next we got Dream Shackle Geist, which is 1 blue, creature spirit 3/1 with flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 of the following: tap target creature, or target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So you don't even have to attack to get that ability.
No, that's really nice. A lot of these cards that do stuff like this, you usually have to attack or pay something or tap it or something like that. But it's literally just when you enter combat.
The only downside to this is you can't do both. You have to do one or the other. So it's either you tap a creature to make it out of the way so you can swing in, or if they attack you with something, you lock it down so it can't attack you again.
See, if you had multiple of these on the field, that could be good, because then I guess you could do both, but...
Oh, yeah, so like standard, this would be great, because you have 2 elements. Like, tap it, and now it doesn't untap. Tap it, and the 3/1 flyers.
Like, this is disgusting if you get like a deck of 4 of these. Like, that's gross. In Commander, obviously, far less good, because you can only do 1. But, and also in Commander, there's better cards. But I feel like this is pretty good.
I still like it. I think I'd play it still, especially if you're doing like a spirit tribal deck. Like there's definitely, you might see it
Yeah.
around, I think.
Oh, yeah. In standard, yes. I think this is definitely going to be in standard. Because with 4 of these in a deck, that's just nasty. Especially if you get more than 1 on the field, that's gross. Next up, we have Geralf Visionary Stitcher. It is 2 and 1 blue to cast. It is a 1/4 legendary human wizard creature. And it has zombies you control have flying. And then it has pay blue and tap it. Sacrifice another non-token creature. Create an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. So now we have blue zombies. That's interesting.
Well, we've had a few blue zombies because blue black zombies has been a deck, but this is the thing that makes it the best. Zombies have flying now. What?
What's more terrifying than a zombie? One that flies.
Yeah, so now I want to make a flying zombie deck. Like I just want to make a deck that gives like zombies flying.
This
With
is
this, I'm gonna play jump. I'm gonna play jump on my creatures. I'm gonna play the blue enchantments that give all zombies flying. It's like a meme deck, but it's also a good card. Like because it gives all your zombie tokens and just other zombies flying, and you can sacrifice any non-token to make a zombie. So, like say you're not even in a zombie deck, right? So you're just playing as a mono blue creature deck, right? Well, you can sacrifice your 3/3, and now it's a flying 3/3.
Yep. You make it better, basically, especially if it's a statless 3/3. It's just a basic card.
Or
now it has flying.
You're playing blue Simic blue green, and you have doubling season out, and you sacrifice a dude, and you make 2 of the things that are just flying zombies.
This card definitely has a lot of potential.
I am
silly things.
I could see somebody. This is going to be some silliness, but it's also a meme at the same time, so I love it.
Yeah, I love cards like this. Someone will figure out how to make it good.
The next card is Hullbreaker Horror. It is 5 blue for a 7/8 Kraken Horror with flash, and this spell cannot be countered. And then, whenever you cast a spell, this is in play here. Choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
Why do they always have to make Kraken so busted?
So this is just like a way better. This is a way better Tide spell, right?
This is nasty.
No, but I mean, like for like Legacy though, right? Like this is better than Tide spell.
How much does Tide spell cost?
I think Tide spell costs 6 or 7.
About this. Okay, so it's around the same cost then. Yeah,
it's around the same cost. And
if you're able to either cheat it in or have the mana for this is gross. And it
has flash. Too. Can you imagine someone is attacking you, and you have 8 mana open, just 8. You flash this in. You cast an instant speed bounce spell to bounce their attacker, and then you get to bounce another thing, and then you can block still with a 7/8.
Or like bounce like a counter they have or something.
Yeah, or bounce whatever's on the stack. Like
it's so gross.
Oh my God.
And it can't be countered.
I know because it's like
trifecta. It has flash. It can't be countered. It's huge.
What's even more hilarious? Say you play something. You'd have to have a ton of mana for this. Like say you high tide this turn. You have a ton of mana.
Or you play or something.
You play a spell. They counter it with counter spell. You play this, and then you let this resolve, and then just hold priority and cast an instant and bounce their counter spell in their hand, and then you get whatever they counter to.
Yeah. There's so much craziness you can do with this card. It's nasty. Definitely.
This is a nutty card.
In the right deck, this is.
It also makes me think that there's going to be a Kraken, Octopus, Serpent themed deck going around.
Oh yeah, I would love
Sea Monsters deck.
I want to see like Davy Jones deck. It's still crazy blue. All right, next up we have Inspired Idea. It is 2 blue for a sorcery that has cleave again for 3 blue. So this, again, is you may cast this spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in the square brackets. So you have 2 and blue. For draw 3 cards, your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 for the rest of the game. Or if you play for 5, you just draw 3 cards.
So I'm debating how good this is, because for 3 mana, draw 3 cards is very good. But how bad is it to have your hand size reduced down to 4 for the rest of the
Especially
game?
If you have a card that says you have no maximum hand size, I don't think you care.
Yeah, see, there I don't know. Well, yeah, because then your thing is unlimited -3.
Yeah, you have infinity
then you
-3. Oh, no.
Yeah, so then you don't care. You just draw 3 for 3, which is fantastic.
Exactly. Like, that's pretty damn good. That's less than...
But say you do care, right? Like, what's the downside? When you cast this, you'd have to play a couple cards because you have to discard on the 4.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in Control that might not be good. If you're playing like a more mid-range or aggro deck, I don't think you can.
I feel like even in Control, it's not bad if you wait to cast it. Like, if you cast it for 3 mana when you're like have no cards in hand, I mean, you probably have the 5 mana at that point, though, then.
Right.
But even 5 mana for 3 cards isn't bad.
No, because that's what Harmonize is, I'm pretty sure. So it's basically a blue Harmonize if you do it for the cleave cost.
Right, I think so.
So, interesting card for sure. Without playing with it, not exactly sure how bad it would be. But especially in like a faster paced deck, I don't think you care all that much.
Right, like I don't think you care either. Like, so I think 3 for draw 3 is good.
3 for draw 3 is definitely good, even with the downside.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see this being played in Historic on Arena 2, because I think Valkyrie Tower is available. So.
Right. Yeah. Anything that maxes out your hand, then you really don't care.
Right. All right. So then next we got Necro Duality, which is 3 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it.
Again, going with the zombie theme here, the blue zombie theme, mind you. Yeah.
Seems very good in zombie tribal decks.
Zombie doubling season, thank you very much.
But it's non-token zombie. And then you make a copy.
Right.
So you make a token copy.
So that's...
So like you play Undead War Chief, I now have an Undead War Chief and a token that's a copy of Undead War Chief.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So a copy is what you play.
Yeah, as long as it's not a token.
Interesting.
It's very good, though, I think.
That is very good, especially if you're playing big stuff.
Yep.
Like, it gets big quick.
I'm sure there's a way to break that.
Oh, I'm sure. Someone will figure out how to do it. And then really, 4 mana for that is not bad. That's because doubling season...
No, that's solid.
Doubling season's 5, I think.
Yeah, and this is a little worse than doubling season.
Yeah, it's not quite as good.
It's the same mana cost as like Parallel Lives is 4.
Yeah, Parallel Lives is 4. And then I think what's the other one? Primal Vigor. I think that's also 4 because that also has a downside. So yeah, definitely not bad. That's pretty run of the mill. Definitely good. Definitely playable for sure, especially in a tribal deck. So next up we have Overcharged Amalgam. It is 2 blue for a 3/3 zombie horror creature. It has flash, it has flying, it has exploit, which is another new keyword. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. That's what exploit does. And then it has, when Overcharged Amalgam exploits a creature, countered target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Oh my god.
Yeah, and
that is a lot of stuff.
Exploit's actually a returning keyword. I think it was in one of the Cons of Trakir or Dragons of Trakir or something like that. Okay. It was in like Cons.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I play 1 card in my deck right now, in my black deck, that exploits, and when I exploit it, like it destroys a creature.
Right.
So this is awesome because it's
has so much text. It's so good. You can flash it in at any time.
So this is like a Venser basically, right?
It's like a Venser that has. It's like a Venser that also counters a spell or activated ability or triggered ability. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, so it counters a spell, a trigger. So it's like a Venser with flying, but you have to sack a creature. It's the downside, but you get the gain of countering a trigger.
It has like
or
stifle,
activated.
basically.
Yeah, I like it. And it's a zombie. So if you have nuclear duality out, you get 2 of them. You get to do it twice.
Twice. Oh my god. That's gross. I could see this being in Brago, honestly.
Yeah, it's this would be really good.
That's a really good ETB.
You just have to sacrifice something. You just sacrifice your worst thing, like whatever.
Yeah, which I feel like a lot of times you have creatures that you can sacrifice that are worse than this. It's definitely this can be very busted.
All right, we got another zombie up next. It's Patchwork Crawler. It's blue, 1 in blue, so 2 mana for a 1/2 zombie. Pay 3, so 2 in a blue. Exile target creature card from your graveyard and put a 1/1 counter on it. And Patchwork Crawler has all activated abilities of all creature cards that are exiled with it.
That's pretty cool, and it only costs 2.
I'm trying to think of what activated abilities you're going to get, though, out of your own graveyard in blue. But, I mean, I'm sure there's something.
Maybe artifact fetch abilities, I'm trying to think. Ping. There's a couple things that ping in blue, I think. What else is there?
Oh, I guess there's like that mage guy that you can draw cards off of.
Yeah, I feel like you can draw cards. Like, there's definitely some activated abilities that draw cards.
Yeah,
that is a thing.
It's still pretty good because you can just make it bigger for 3 mana. Like, worst case, it's you 2 for a 1/2 that you can exile your own creatures out of your graveyard to make bigger.
If you have like Arcanus or something in your graveyard, you can freaking draw 3.
Oh, could you imagine that? Like for like first turn, you loot or something and put Arcanus in your graveyard. Play this for 2, and then on their next round's end step, you pay 3 and exile Arcanus and draw 3 cards.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. You have to have that very specific deck setup, but not bad. Definitely not bad on a turn 3. That's some quick card draw. Next up, we have Winged Portent. It is 1 blue for an instant that has cleave for 4 green-blue, so that makes it Simic. So when you cast it for 3, it has draw a card for each creature with flying you control. And then if you play it for the cleave cost, you have draw a card for each creature you control.
I think this is great. If you have flying tribal, this is fantastic.
This is an excellent card in a flying deck, which I feel like a lot of blue decks are. So
Commander, it's a little bit harder because most of the flying decks are blue-white. But if you have a blue-white green, you can play it.
Yeah, you have to splash in green somehow. Because that Simic makes it that Simic change makes it a little more tough to work with. Very good in standard for sure. Any blue flying tribal deck would be. What
do you think? What do you think about blue here? What's your first thoughts on the blue rares?
Blue is looking not too bad. I don't think it's quite as strong as white. White had a lot of playable stuff, but blue has, especially some of these zombie cards that are here. There's definitely some.
Yeah, my
Kraken is busted.
I was going to say the Kraken and that zombies that flying are just awesome.
Yeah. And then also, if you give all your zombies flying, and you play this Wing Portent, and then you can draw a card for each of your flying creatures, and just draw a crap ton of stuff. There's a lot of stuff
for 3 mana. Yeah,
for 3 mana. That's not bad. That you can do that for the same cost as that other card that we were debating, where you draw 3 and then make your hand.
Yeah, for realistically, you only need 3 creatures out for 3 mana to get that.
Yeah, this is way better than that other card. Way better.